Joe, sorry. Well, I've got you. What's your title with McKenzie River Trust?
I'm the executive director.
And how long have you been aboard?
18 and a half years.
Is that as long as the trust has existed?
No, we started in 1989, but I was one of the first paid staff.
Very cool. Very cool. This project you guys have been working on at Finn Rock Reach has been quite an awesome undertaking. I wasn't aware really what it was. I went out a few weeks ago with Elizabeth and a couple other folks, really got to see the impact it was happening. For those folks that haven't been there, boots on the ground in the Reach, what kind of transformation has taken place here?
It's kind of interesting. You could look at it in a couple of ways. One, it's kind of a walk back in time. Prior to colonial settlement, rivers in this part of the world were really meandering and braided and side channeled and also filled with logs and those sorts of things. And over time, we've simplified them, straightened them, gotten the logs out. This sort of takes it back to that, because that older approach, that older reality was much better for water quality, much better for fish and wildlife habitat. Another way to think about it is, if you think of all of the rapids on the McKenzie River, every one of those rapids is the result of some disaster, an earthquake, a slide, a flood. And similarly, those are the building blocks of rivers, and this in some ways kind of mimics that. So that's why it looks kind of jumbled and messy.
How exciting is it to be at this point where not only have you returned water into this area that's been restored, but now that wildlife is returning? What does that mean for you, having watched this project take place from the beginning, where it was just this idea, and I'm sure there was some doubt that crept in about if it would work and all this? What does it feel like to be able to watch it happen this way?
You know, when you think about something like a wild Chinook salmon and know that for thousands and thousands of years, they've been navigating back and forth from headwaters, down rivers, to the ocean, in the ocean for 4 or 5 years, back up, usually to the same area, but they're going to run into problems and sometimes they stray. And you see all of the gauntlet that we put in front of them. You go to Portland and look down from the bridge and realize there are Chinook salmon making their way through that, and they come back into the river system and spawn this time of year. It's an incredibly hopeful thing to be a part of. It gives us hope that, yeah, there are things that we can continue to do to help them make that journey.
And we've seen the salmon return to the Reach ever since you guys have reopened it. What does that feel like?
You know, every year we look at not only Finn Rock Reach, but upstream on Deer Creek, where similar work was done on the South Fork of the McKenzie. And we're seeing the fish take advantage of these broader spawning opportunities. And more importantly, Zach, you know, in January, February, when the young, the offspring, the fry come out of these gravels, they have a smorgasbord, more food, broader areas to stay safe, to grow big, so that as they go downstream, they're bigger when they get to the ocean, they survive better, they come back larger. All of that is really, really encouraging.
What do you anticipate to see as far as the amount of salmon you'll see in the Reach that maybe this year versus what the goal is 10, 20, 30 years down the line?
Oh, good question. They are just a fraction of what it used to be. I mean, just a single-digit percentage of the returns we used to have. And it's not just spawning, it's not just rearing, it's also marine conditions, ocean conditions, things that happen. We hope that a lot of the fish coming back this year, which were probably spawned in the South Fork after the big restoration project done there in 2018 and 2019, we hope for good numbers, but the ocean conditions are a wild card. We always want to see all of these spawning habitats occupied and just get bigger and bigger runs. So going from, you know, a couple thousand to maybe 5,000 or 10,000 over time. It's really going to take that for the fish to persist for generations.
What kind of numbers do you anticipate seeing this year? Are we talking thousands, hundreds, dozens, as far as fish in the area you guys have restored?
In Finn Rock Reach, we're hoping to have, so the red is the nest essentially that they dig to spawn. Last year, I think there were 25. This year, we're hoping to have at least double that. But we'll see. So far, and it's really early it's about a 3-week period. As of last week, there were already 23 reds identified. So we'll do another assessment later this week. Hope to have as many as double that. But again, it's not just Finn Rock Reach, it's that whole system, that middle McKenzie from, you know, Leeburg all the way up. You find little pieces of gravel and appropriate spawning habitat, and you're going to see these marvelous fish out there.
Talk a little bit about those not branches, but trees you guys have, logs that have kind of disrupted this river path. I thought it was a really cool thing to kind of look at. What role did those play, those down trees play in this restoration project?
over the course of the year, those roles can change. I mean, this time of year, it provides a little resting area. It provides a place for small gravels to stable out of the water system and promote a good habitat. A little bit of aeration as water is going over them. They also start to degrade, and as they degrade, they're degraded by small insects. Those insects become fish, part of that smorgasbord I mentioned. During the summer, those logs provide shade, which provides cooling for some deeper pools. In high water, you get a little cascade over it, it digs out, so you get a deeper pool. So really all year long, they are providing building blocks for different habitat needs over the course of the year.
Last question, I think, for you, unless there's some follow-ups. This type of work, how important is this project for the McKenzie River, and how important is this type of work? So kind of twofold. How important is this project for the river? How important is this sort of work for Oregon's wilderness in general?
It's interesting. We often focus on things like Chinook salmon, but remember, this is our drinking water. And we know that our drinking water is increasingly stressed by just the diversity of uses and the fact that it's warming in the summer. Being able to hold water higher in the system, let it stay cold and clean and release over the course of the year is water supply for all of us. I also think that in the aftermath of the Holiday Farm fire, we continue to be impressed and humbled by how many people look to the river as solace, as an anchor, as a reason for being where we are. I mean, without water, we're not Oregon. And so anything that we can do to help to give people in the future the opportunity to enjoy the wealth that we enjoy now, we feel really good about. So it's a broad goodwill feeling to be a part of this kind of river restoration work.